Beneath America's college campuses lies an undercurrent of foreign funding that often influences what is taught and what is learned. Though foreign gifts and contracts can help advance learning and promote academic exchange, millions flowing in from countries like China and Qatar have strings attached that threaten academic freedom and national security. Michael Cunningham, a research fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Asian Studies Center, says it's no surprise that the Chinese Communist Party sees American higher ed as a valuable target in its soft power campaign.
Well, I think the first question is why China is targeting U.S. universities in the first place, right? So, and that, you could just say that the simple answer is because U.S. universities are the top universities in the world. We have most of the best universities. And so this gives the CCP three main motivations. One is that elites from all over the world are studying here. So if they want to influence the way the movers and shakers of the next generation in countries throughout the world view China and how they see the world, this is a good place to start. The second reason is that there is, and really the most important reason, there is a large number of Chinese students, especially Chinese elites, studying in America. China really wants to keep an eye on them. The CCP wants to keep an eye on them. The CCP knows from experience the risk that comes with their citizens studying abroad and being exposed to various different ideologies and worldviews.
The Chinese Communist Party's attempts to influence our campuses are not new. For decades, an arm of the CCP called Hanban funded and operated Confucius Institutes at many American colleges. These institutes purported to teach Chinese language and culture, but every part of the classroom, from the instructor to the textbooks to the curriculum, was handpicked by Hanban. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona appeared not to know what Confucius Institutes are at a House Appropriations hearing in April 2023.
Are you familiar with the Confucius Institutes?
I don't have information on the Confucius Institute now, but I'm sure my team may be aware of it. I can look into that.
In addition to the millions of dollars the CCP sends to American colleges, it has also sent spies to their research labs. This is all part of a coordinated campaign called the Thousand Talents Program, which pays off individuals in exchange for them funneling intellectual property, including research related to national security, back to Beijing.
The CCP are masters at spycraft, and they're using every traditional and non-traditional method of spycraft that's available to them. So they're embedding intel officers in universities. They're disguised as students, as professors, visiting students, visiting professors. They're in programs that have Department of Defense funding, really sensitive labs, all-star professors who are researching really cutting-edge technology with military or dual-use applications. We're talking stuff that probably no non-US citizen should have access to anyway. It intends to gradually become the world's dominant power by amassing political influence.
Between 2017 and 2020, dozens of academics were found to have been spying on behalf of the CCP. Many had sent American IP, including sensitive research, to China. Others, like Charles Lieber, former head of the Harvard Chemistry Department, was nabbed for failing to disclose their China ties when obtaining federal taxpayer-funded grants.
It's much easier for them to get this technology from universities than, say, from walking into a US government lab.
The CCP's interest in our research labs boils down to one thing.
The simple answer is technology. They're trying to get as much cutting-edge technology as possible. Now that's military technology, it's industrial technology, it's everything it needs to build up a world-class military, as well as everything it needs to really have world-leading industry. We're talking anything from agriculture to missile and aerospace technology to cutting edge technology, basically in all fields, especially fields they've identified as their core interests, whether it's biotechnology and medicine or artificial intelligence, semiconductors.
Congress has recognized the threat that hidden foreign financial ties present to our colleges and to our country more broadly. As such, it has put guardrails in place in an attempt to make colleges be transparent about where their money comes from. DFI president and co-founder Bob Eitel has more.
Congress has legislated a law called Section 117 under the Higher Education Act. This is a legal requirement that requires U.S. colleges and universities to publicly disclose their foreign gifts and contracts to the U.S. Department of Education. It's a mandate that requires colleges and universities to report twice each year foreign gifts and contracts, the value of which is $250,000 or more, which is considered alone or in combination with other gifts or contracts with a foreign source, and critically, to disclose any foreign ownership or control to the Secretary of Education.
China is far from the only foreign power that seeks undue influence over our campuses. Qatar and Saudi Arabia are also major sources of foreign funding, and their undue influence causes campus culture to organize around the wrong priorities. A study from the Network Contagion Research Institute found that colleges which underreported their foreign money from Middle Eastern sources had a roughly 300% higher rate of anti-Semitic incidents than other institutions.
These gifts are, when they are made from an authoritarian regime to a college or university in the United States, that college, that campus experiences an erosion of free speech norms on campus. The long-term goal is to influence America's policies as they relate to these regimes.
Universities have a lot more they could do to deal with this threat. U.S. universities should not be running away from these responsibilities.
Prior to Secretary DeVos investigating universities under Section 117, enforcement had been lax for decades.
In 2020, the Department of Education's Office of General Counsel conducted an investigation of Section 117 compliance by higher education. And in the process of that investigation, that office discovered billions of dollars of unreported foreign gifts and contracts coming from a variety of sources. Much of it came from foreign adversaries, such as the government of the People's Republic of China, the Chinese Communist Party and their proxies. Much of it came from Middle Eastern sources, such as Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Some of this money came from sources that we consider to be our allies, such as England and Canada.
The former education secretary uncovered rampant underreporting of foreign funding at 12 major institutions.
Carnegie Mellon University, Cornell University, Harvard University, Texas A&M, as well as others, including Georgetown University. Section 117 does not prohibit institutions from taking money. It is not a prohibition. It is simply a reporting requirement so that the department and the public know what institutions of higher education are taking in terms of foreign sourced gifts and contracts.
Now, President Biden seems to be turning a blind eye to foreign influence in education.
The Biden administration has frankly done everything that they can to undercut enforcement under Section 117. The Biden administration has dismissed all pending Section 117 investigations that the department's Office of General Counsel had commenced prior to January 20th, 2021, when the Biden administration took office. So they have dropped pending investigations, let colleges and universities off the hook.
President Biden's abrupt closure of all the open Section 117 investigations was met with high praise from the American Council on Education, a higher ed lobbying group. A new bill called the Deterrent Act would strengthen reporting requirements and add a series of repercussions for colleges that refuse to comply.
If a college or university fails to make their disclosures under Section 117, under this bill, the federal government would have the right to yank that school's participation in the federal student loan program and Pell Grant program. The federal student loan program is the mother's milk of higher education, and they will not do without it. So this is a very extremely valuable compliance tool for the government.
DFI has presented a slate of solutions for shoring up enforcement of this federal transparency law. Congressional action and executive cooperation could protect American higher ed from undue foreign influence. All that's missing from some in Washington is the political will to make it happen.